We're going to shift gears just a little bit. Right now, we are going to move our attention over to a new launch that was announced right here in Amsterdam this morning. Agile Services Networking Architecture, garnering a lot of attention already this week here at the conference. We're glad to have our friend Gordon Thompson with us, VP of Service Provider here in EMEA, with a leader who is using this new technology to drive increased service provider attention and adoption toward these technologies. So Gordon, let's send it over to you.
Thank you, Steve. It's delighted to be with all of you today. And as you said, really exciting launch today for us, for the service provider world around this Agile Services Networking Architecture. The world is changing faster than we could ever imagine, and at the heart of that has to be service provider connectivity. Service providers are thinking about how they reimagine their network infrastructure to simplify it, to converge it, to bring IP and optical together. They're then thinking about how they can automate it so they can run it much more efficiently than they've ever done before. And then they're thinking about how they monetize it, how they take that to market, and they help generate new services for their customers and generate top-line growth for themselves as well. Well, I'm here today delighted to be joined by Peter Coppens, who is the VP of Product Management at Colt, one of our biggest service providers across Europe. And Peter and his team have been doing some fantastic work up until now to take some of these capabilities that Cisco have launched and to embed them into their own network already. Peter, thanks for joining us and spending some time with us today. It's good to see you. Perhaps first of all, you could maybe just explain a wee bit about your role to everybody, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Gordon, and thanks for inviting me. So Peter Coppens, I'm looking after the product portfolio and the solutions at Colt. So that's all our networking services, think internet, Ethernet, optical, voice, but not only the traditional ones, also the ones that are consumed in the new way, the network as a service solutions that we'll talk about later. And for those who are not close to Colt, so we are a digital infrastructure provider.
Yep.
Our key focused only on business. Our key customers are big enterprises, medium to big enterprises, think capital markets, etc. But also the hyperscalers that we underpin with our solutions, and then also other carriers.
Super. And we're delighted to partner with you, and we've really enjoyed working with you and your team over the last few years. But you mentioned their network as a service, and I mentioned earlier on the importance of being able to monetize the services that you take to market. And maybe you could explain to us, you guys are early adopters of network as a service, or NAS, and there's not many service providers doing it. Perhaps you could just talk to us about what it is actually you've taken to market.
Yeah, sure. So network as a service is really bringing that cloud consumption model that we know from AWS,
Yep.
where you can go in, you can tune up and down storage, compute, all very flexible, instantaneous consumption, bringing that model to the networking world, which has been for a long time too static. So if you look at NAS, analysts see like 5 things about it. It has to be very automated and standardized.
Yep.
It has to allow self-serve, via portal, via API.
Yeah.
It has to be agile and dynamic, so customers can flex bandwidth up and down in real time. There has to be a choice of consumption methods, and also a choice of billing methods. So you're not stuck to a fixed 1-year contract. You can go much more agile. And then all the components need to be provided by the service provider. And that's what we have built, and that's where we have now lots of customers on indeed.
Very impressive. And I get some of the benefits there, but maybe you can be really specific with me in terms of what are your customers saying to you are the benefits for them of using these NAS type services with Colt? And also, what's the benefit to Colt?
Yeah, sure. And in the end, it's bringing a lot of long-needed automation to the B2B telecom world. We have enabled a lot of disruption with cheap internet. We have enabled a lot of disruption of so many industries, but the telco world hasn't really inflicted it on itself. So in terms of bringing that automation, we get rid of a lot of manual tasks that don't add a lot of value. So that means there's definitely a cost benefit, let's be honest about it. But it's more than that. It's also a lot more agile. Customers can now go in and they have the power themselves on their network. They can tune up bandwidth in real time. So they have like a 100 meg service between a data center and a cloud, and they want to go to 500 meg or back to 300 meg. So it's agility, it's flexibility, not being bound, and just paying for what you need and what you use.
Sure. And from your point of view, what are you seeing as the benefits for Colt in terms of taking these services to market?
Yeah, so it's very similar. On our side, we can be more competitive. We can scale out much better. You take the example of the public cloud providers. They have been very good in selling standardized, very well created standardized products at huge scale. While in telco there has been a lot of tuning, not always for the right reasons, a lot of manual work still. So taking that out is a real benefit for us in streamlining and getting to the scale that we want and that we need.
Excellent. So this Agile Services Network architecture that Cisco's developed is allowing you to take Agile services to market at the moment. It has to be more than just connectivity that allows you to do that. However, there must be more intelligence in terms of your network capabilities. I know you've invested a lot in this area. Perhaps you could talk about some of the things beyond connectivity that you're doing as a service provider that allows you to deliver these services.
Yeah, sure. And that's where Cisco is underpinning us to enable those NAS services. And so to give just one example, the Cisco provider connectivity assurance suite that we are using enables not just a very basic thing like giving insight to the customer on the services that he's using, his bandwidth, his latency. That's a hygiene factor that we had for many decades, and that's good, we need it. But then it allows also much more next generation things. I heard talking in one of the sessions before about sustainability. This is also allowing us to pull all the Cisco equipment and making sure that in terms of the carbon intensity, we can play that back to the customer so that he knows I'm buying one extra service. What does that extra service do in terms of my carbon footprint?
Brilliant. Thank you, Peter. So there you have it, Steve. You can hear from a customer who's developing Agile network services with Cisco to help them simplify their network infrastructure, to help them gain much better visibility of what's going across their network infrastructure. That allows them to assure the services they deliver to their customer and gives them the flexibility they need to be able to allow the customer to consume these new services in a new way. So Cisco, together with Colt, working really closely to sell and take capabilities to market in this new world that we're operating in today. Really exciting.